Thank you. Ms. Quigley, let me start with you. Can you further elaborate or just describe the specific local challenges that you're addressing with your efforts to employ smart transportation?
Sure. Our challenges are probably not much different than any communities, although ours may be exacerbated in some areas. But safety, congestion, and capacity, and limited resources to enhance those are our challenges. So testing, deploying these new technologies is a way for us to enhance capacity, reduce congestion, and increase safety without having to build additional infrastructure, additional lane miles, or having additional right-of-way takings, et cetera.
And then you talked a little bit about the public-private partnerships, which I'm a big proponent of, but each state is unique in how that relationship should look. Can you talk a little bit about that for the state of Nevada and your involvement in a public-private partnership as you employ the emerging technology?
So as we're emerging these newer technologies, most of them are in the pilot program or the demonstration phases, so we can vet them through. And one of the advantages of having a pilot program or a demonstration program is that you can work around your existing, sometimes stymieing procurement processes. And it's only after you've vetted and you've tested that then you would move forward with the more formal procurement processes. Does that address the question?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. And then, Mr. Raycroft, you talked about moving forward right now in testing the commercialization in certain states. Let me ask you this. How close is this technology to being truly available for people, passenger use?
So right now, the company is working towards being operational by the mid-2020s.
Okay, for passenger use.
For passenger use.
And I appreciate the conversation that you had with the chair, because as we develop this emerging technology and get to that point, we are going to have to be flexible with the different regulatory agencies that are out there, and hopefully addressing the new emerging technology, but still have a safety component, and they have to be flexible with accepting this new emerging technology and thinking about it a little different way. Is that what you were trying to say earlier?
Of course, yes.
Okay, thank you. The conversation, I appreciate, Ms. Tolson, you've talked about this as well, which is creating jobs. Part of this and all of the use of all of the new technology is how we not only create jobs, but there's always been this discussion about displacement of workers as well, and how we should be working to give them the tools and the skills they need for the use of the technology, because it will create jobs in the future. Can you talk a little bit about how you've created jobs with the emerging technology that you're utilizing? I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about that. And Mr. Raycroft, as well, could you talk about manufacturing jobs that could come from the use of your new technology as well? So, Ms. Tolson.
Sure. So what we're seeing is that as you can get more throughput and more efficiency inside the port, there's more work to be done. And it doesn't slow the shipments that are coming in. They have more work that gets backed up than they can handle. So this actually allows more people to come in, work in this manner, so you can get that through. That's how we see it, and this is how the union in the conversations is panning out. So.
And that's why labor supports it.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
As you know, we have opened not only our test facility in North Las Vegas, but also a manufacturing facility where that's where we've manufactured and assembled the majority of our components that we built into the test site that you saw on the screen. As we look to commercialization, as I'm sure you can see, this is a big system. It's an infrastructure. It involves vehicles that resemble the aerospace supply chains that we have in full force out in LA, that we have throughout the country, my background at GE. And so we do see that there's a lot of potential for manufacturing jobs, and those jobs would exist not only during the construction phase of a project where we need to procure the hardware to build the infrastructure, but also the vehicles. But those jobs will remain for maintenance, for spare parts over time. And then we will also have, as we continue to develop the technology and innovate to new and enhanced efficiencies and cost points, we will have the continued need for development manufacturing. And so that'll remain, and we anticipate fully leveraging our facility in Nevada.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Sanford, you talked a little bit about challenges and barriers. Can you elaborate on some of them and briefly for the committee?
Sure. So one of the, I think the outstanding things that's delaying implementation of autonomous ships is regulations, both within country states and from an international level. So one of the requirements of international regulation of prevention of collisions at sea is to have a lookout on a ship. That requires a manned ship. Right now, there's no rule that allows you to supplement that person with a video camera for remote operation or allowing a computer system, autonomous system, to monitor the ship for safety. There's also the safety of life at sea requirements, which is if a ship's in distress, the closest ship comes and provides support for that ship. How do you handle that with an unmanned ship that doesn't have a crew on board to help a distressed ship? So those two regulations will come about. That's both at the U.S. level, regulatory level through U.S. Coast Guard, and then also at the International Maritime Organization level for international regulations, because they control everything for the international shipping.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.